Resident Evil has been a staple in the gaming industry for 21 years as of March 2017. The franchise has created many main title games as well as multiple spin-offs. Some good, some bad. Either way, no one can deny the impact that the original game has had and still has on the gaming industry today. It set a precedent for many games to follow. It brought in a new wave of gaming for the industry as a whole, and overall, it defined a genre of survival horror. In a gaming market where the top horror games were games with horror themes, nothing conveyed much horror or scares at its core, or at least nothing popular did. Resident Evil was a fresh and new take on the horror genre. It set a precedent that many games followed after its debut back in 1996. However, it wasn't entirely new at all. Resident Evil did not create the survival horror genre, it defined and pioneered it. Let us rewind back a bit to 1992. A game by the name of Alone in the Dark was released for the PC. It was received well, but was not too popular. It to this day has not even sold 1 million copies. Resident Evil, on the other hand, from 1996, has sold over 5 million copies to date. Whether it be due to Resident Evil being on multiple platforms or not, the fact still remains. Resident Evil became more popular. A game with the same concept of being stuck in a mansion with monsters was conceived originally with Alone in the Dark. Resident Evil adapted this concept into something revolutionary, giving it its own original story and more that they could expand upon. They knew what they were doing. Alone in the Dark had an original plan to be part of the Call of Cthulhu series, but eventually went off and made it into its own original series. Not having a plan of action and changing things to maintain its own IP was in the end their downfall. Resident Evil, on the other hand, had a plan since the beginning that has been executed over 21 years. They went from a mansion on the outskirts of a city to the development of a virus in that city, ultimately to the city's demise in 3 games. All with original and creative takes on the franchise, eventually branching off and returning to the characters developed in the original trilogy, while also using the titles to connect them back to the original game. Resident Evil, not just as a game, but as a franchise, set a precedent, not only for people to follow with multiple entries, but also with how to make horror work. The game was not a game with multiple jump scares or immense fighting to give it its horror name. Instead, it used its camera angles to convey fear. It made you think about what you were doing in the game. Your enemies were not something to just kill and pass nonchalantly. Instead, it brought those same enemies that you killed earlier in the game back, but stronger and faster. And to add to its difficulty, it implemented enemies and harder bosses. With those camera angles, it was hard to protect yourself from any threat. It made you reflect on your actions because if you died, you could lose an immense amount of progress. You did not fear the game itself. You instead feared for your survival in the game, making you fear what was around the corner, making you fear the enemies that could potentially kill you. You could look at this image of a Crimson Head from Resident Evil and be totally fine. It is not a scary enemy in the slightest, but when implemented in the game, it has the potential to set you back hours. And that in the end is what makes it horrifying. This is where Resident Evil got its genre title of survival horror. The game's mechanics have been replicated in other games such as Silent Hill, taking the fixed camera angles and using it to their advantage, showing that the medium worked fantastically well. Resident Evil revolutionized gaming. It set a precedent for many games to follow. Horror games were no longer just themed around horror, they were horror. Horror games look to it as a masterpiece among gaming, and its multiple remakes, remasters, and sequels prove its mark that has been placed on the gaming industry. A game from 21 years ago is still relevant today. Most games have never done that, and most games will never will. They have made their mark, but nothing will come as close to the original Resident Evil and its original impact in defining a genre. Hello everyone, thank you guys so much for watching. This is the first video that has been uploaded on 2 different channels, the DEB Gen, which is Sparkies DEB Gen. I don't know why I called it Sparkies, to be honest. And then this channel, PH. I made an intro for this. Didn't take me too long to make the intro, to be honest, but I kind of like how it turned out. It's simple. If you guys like this video, click that like button gently. I might do another video essay in the future. I'm not really sure. It's going to have to be something I'm really passionate about. I will get back to gaming videos soon. Have a fantastic day. And if you want to discuss this in the comments further, I'd be happy to. Goodbye.